Hey guys, welcome back to Movie Recap. In this video, I'm going to recap one of the films from 2010, Julia's Eyes. Without any further, let's get started. At the beginning of the film, we observe Sarah, a blind woman, talking with a force that is undetectable. For days, the presence has been haunting her. It tracks her throughout the house while playing music. Since she can't stand it any longer, Sarah heads to the basement to hang herself. At that moment, she senses a presence close by. She decides against it, but before she can take off the noose, the tool is kicked away. From a corner, someone snaps a photo of her hanging to death. On an adjacent table is a set of medical equipment. Julia, Sarah's twin sister, lives far away. As Sarah is hanging to death, Julia falls and finds it hard to breathe. After feeling uneasy, she chooses to go see Sarah. Julia and Sarah both suffer from deteriorating vision. As a result, they gradually lose their vision and become blind. Before Julia, Sarah loses her vision. When Julia and her husband, Isaac, search for Sarah, they discover her lifeless in the basement. At home, the police officer says it's a suicide case. He believes Sarah killed herself because she was unhappy over her blindness. Julia maintains that it isn't because Sarah was waiting for a donor to restore her vision. She thinks this is a murder case rather than a suicide. Then he tells her about Soledad, a blind woman Sarah used to talk with. When Julia visits Soledad, she learns about the Bowman Center, a facility for persons with disabilities. She informs her that Sarah had made new friends there. When Julia heads to that place, she overhears some blind women chatting about Sarah. Sarah went to a Bella Vista hotel with her boyfriend. After noticing her presence, the women approach Julia. She introduces herself and they want to know who the man she was with is. Julia had come by herself, which startled her. However, the woman senses that someone is standing just behind her. Julia witnesses someone leaving. She pursues the person and arrives in a tiny, dimly lit room. She can't see the person in front of her because of the darkness. He distracts Julia by flashing his camera, which allows him to get away. She starts to lose her vision. Isaac urges her to return home because Julia's vision will deteriorate with further stress. But she persuades him to take a vacation at Bella Vista. In actuality, she is interested in learning who Sarah's lover is, whom the blind women have been discussing. As soon as they get to Bella Vista, she selects the hotel where Sarah and her boyfriend stayed. In the hotel lobby, she is unable to locate any information about Sarah's boyfriend. Later during lunch, a waiter informs her that her twin Sarah has already undergone eye surgery. She is therefore perplexed as to why Sarah killed herself, given that she had already undergone surgery. Subsequently, Isaac discloses that Sarah's doctors informed him that her eye surgery was unsuccessful. He claims that this is the cause of Sarah's suicide.
Oh, yeah.
The next morning, just as Julia and Isaac are about to leave, a janitor named Crespolo claims to have found something in Sarah's hotel room. He leads her to the hotel basement, where he kept it, and hands her Sarah's key. Additionally, Crespolo warns her to be wary of the man in the dark. At that moment, Julia feels someone behind her. Before she can apprehend him, the man flees. Then, in order to determine who Sarah was with, Julia and Isaac seek to obtain security camera footage. Isaac enters to retrieve the video, but he never returns. When Julia enters to be sure Isaac is not there, she discovers that all of the videos have vanished. She informs the police about the invisible man and Isaac's disappearance. At that moment, Crespolo is seen taking a tub bath. The light bulb above him is turned off by someone. It kills him via electrocution. When Julia and the police arrive to seek for Crespolo, they discover him dead. Julia is now certain that her husband has been abducted and Crespolo killed by the invisible man. She has a seizure because she is worried about Isaac, which makes her vision even worse. When she visits her doctor, she is informed that she would become completely blind in less than a month. He makes plans for her to have an eye transplant. After that, she goes to Soledad's house. Soledad had a son named Angel and a husband. After her husband abandoned her, Angel took care of her for 10 years before abruptly leaving one day. Shortly after Julia got the call from the cop, they quickly discover that Isaac was last seen at a motel. In the room he stayed in, they also discover his wedding ring. While the inspector and Julia are talking in the motel, another police officer arrives and reports that someone is at Julia's house. They both go back. As the inspector checks into a room, Julia detects a sound coming from the basement. She descends to be sure, but the darkness in the room and her vision make it impossible for her to see anything. She scans the room until abruptly touching a man. She starts screaming for help. When the inspector arrives, he tries to soothe her. Abruptly, the lights return. The body of Isaac hangs from the ceiling. He has taken his own life. However, Julia is blind even with the lights on. She is completely blind now. At the hospital the next day, the inspector informs Julia about Isaac's suicide letter. He had an affair with her for 6 months before Sarah passed away. He was unable to continue lying to Julia, so he committed suicide. A few days later, Julia undergoes surgery. For a week, she must live with a bandage across her eyes. She won't be aware of the success of the surgery until after that. During this period, she will remain under supervision at her twin's house. Julia has a caregiver named Ivan from the hospital to assist her with household chores. He offers her a gadget to wear around her neck so she can give him a call whenever she pleases. After having a nightmare about Isaac and Sarah attempting to remove her bandage, Julia wakes up scared. Then she hears footsteps outside. She uses the gadget to call Ivan. He orders her to leave the house. She gets away. At that moment, the key that Crespulo gave her is stolen by someone. When the police arrive the next day, they discover no signs of an invasion. That night, Ivan tenderly replaces Julia's bandage. Over the following several days, he takes excellent care of her, cooking for her, changing her bandages, and spending time with her while listening to music. However, during all those moments, Ivan's face is never shown to us. On the next day, Julia invites him to stay for drinks. She talks to him about Isaac and then gives him a kiss. But Ivan feels that was wrong and walks away, but promises to come again tomorrow. That night, Julia is woken up by a nightmare. As she reaches for her wedding ring on the side table, she detects a set of medical equipment that resembles the ones from the night Sarah died. Someone tries to give her a narcotic injection from behind. After being awakened by this, she eventually touches the man. Out of fear, she flees the house to her neighbor's house, Blasco. Leah, his daughter, is also home. After letting her in, he begins to harass Julia. Shortly after, she is shocked to find Sarah's key in his house. She carries it with her. After fleeing from Blasco's house, she hides in a corner and calls Ivan for help. Ivan arrives at last to help her. He takes her to his house since she is too afraid to go into her own. There, she informs him that she found Sarah's key at Mr. Blasco's house. She believes Blasco to be the Invisible Man. When Ivan leaves for a while, Leah approaches Julia. She had trailed behind them and entered the house secretly through the window. Leah claims to know who killed Sarah and Isaac, and that she was the one who took the key from Julia's home. It's Ivan, the Invisible Man. Leah discloses that she was close to Sarah in the past and has extensive knowledge of the Invisible Man. Leah is adamant that the key opens one of the locks in Ivan's home, even if Julia doesn't think so. As he did with Sarah, Ivan has been using drugs to cause Julia to go blind. Leah tells Julia to use the bathroom and remain there until she finds a way out. When he returns, Julia asks that Ivan take her to the bathroom. Then she removes her bandage 4 days ahead of schedule. Fortunately, the procedure goes well, and she is relieved to have her vision restored. She dashes outside and walks into one of the rooms. She is startled to see so many photos of herself and Sarah hanging on the wall. When she exits the room to find her, Julia discovers Leah's body stabbed to the wall. She had also been killed by Ivan. Terrified, she sits down in the corner, crying. At that very moment, Ivan enters the room. This is the first moment we see his face. Leah's blood splatters on it. Julia pretends to be blind and acts as though the surgery was a failure. Ivan declares his affection for her, and when Julia told Ivan to call her doctor, and Ivan did so, but he was only deceiving Julia because Julia could see what he was doing. She and he are now in the kitchen. She witnesses him adding drugs to her tea. Then Julia swaps off her cup of tea for his. Even if he doesn't notice, Ivan becomes suspicious. He leads her to the freezer and orders that she open it. It contains the actual Ivan's corpse. Julia lets out a gasp, revealing that she can see the imposter. Ivan accuses her of lying. When he takes her to Sarah's house, Julia escapes from him and goes inside Soledad's home. There, she asks her to call the police, but Ivan enters before she can. He reveals that he is truly Soledad's son, Angel, by calling her mother. When Julia begs Soledad to call the police, Angel persuades her that he is not a murderer. Then Soledad hits Julia on her head with the phone. Angel realizes that his mother can see. Soledad reminds him that he will be nothing without her. This agitates Angel, so he chokes her and pushes her onto the table. Wanting her to become blind once more, he sticks a needle into her eyeballs. Julia awakens to find herself in Sarah's basement. In front of her sits Angel. After packing all of her clothing, he intends to take her away to live with him. As he starts to kiss her, Julia grabs a knife and stabs him in the legs. As she dashes away, she locks him in the basement, but she is unable to leave the house. She then makes a police call. Just before Angel smashes the door, Julia turns off the lights in the house. It is completely dark. Angel searches for Julia using the flash on his camera and locates her. As he tries to stab her, the cops arrive, but none of them can see anyone in the dark house. Julia grabs one of their torches and shines it at Angel in the corner. At last, the shadow becomes visible. Because he can't stand being stared at by so many people, Angel kills himself by cutting his throat. Cut to a few weeks from now. Julia is a hospital patient. Due to the constant injections she received from her fictitious caregiver, she discovers that the damage to her new eyes is irreversible. Julia bids Isaac's corpse farewell with her final few hours of vision. It turns out that he was the one who gave her his eyes. As the film comes to a close, the camera pans into Julia's eye. Thanks for watching, and remember to turn on your notifications to watch more movie recaps like this one.